Hello everyone, today we're going to be explaining the theories of press. So firstly, our outline, we're going to be briefly explaining the theories of press and then following an interview. And then we're going to explain the two selected theories, which are authoritarian theory and the libertarian theory in depth. And lastly, we're going to follow with a conclusion. So what are the theories of press? So theories of press basically answer the question, why does the media of mass communication appear in different forms and serve different purposes in different countries? So what this means is that why do we see different medias around us, and how come some countries have certain restrictions while others don't? This question was developed by the famous Karl Nordstrand. So mainly there are four types of theories of press: the authoritarian, libertarian, social responsibility, and Soviet communist. These all were written in a book by Fred Siebert. So we apologize for the inconvenience, but we've been interrupted by live breaking news. Good morning, everyone. Today we have a very special episode because we have two foreign guests and visitors that will be interviewing shortly. Everyone, please welcome them.
Hello, my name is Clara Schroeder from Germany that follow the authoritarian theory.
Hello, my name is Eric from Norway that follows the libertarian theory.
Okay, so generally speaking, tell me about what the media restrictions are like in your country. So can anyone talk about or post about the topic of their choice?
In the Second World War, Hitler controlled the news media in Germany. Therefore, no press could publish news without the authorities' permission. They created licenses and the concept of censorship to the media to follow. The population knew nothing about freedom of speech. They didn't have the right to criticize the authority.
As for my country, there are specific laws regulating broadcasting, but no press law and very little legislation specifically for the media.
Oh wow, that's quite the opposite of what Clara said. Why do you think your country has those restrictions?
I believe that the government does control the media to protect the nation from threats such as fake news, fake information, and to enhance the ruler's power in the country.
That's quite the point of view. What about
Uh,
you, Eric?
in Norway, the relationship between the government and the state-owned broadcasting company is very sensitive. Besides, Reporters Without Borders ranks Norway first in its Worldwide Press Freedom Index.
Wow, that must be great for you. So now let's talk a little bit about consequence. So Eric, please tell us, what would happen if someone were to break the rules of the press in your country?
We don't really have any restrictions. We believe in liberty and expression in our country.
That must be quite the freedom you got there. What about you, Clara?
Any media violate these government policies, the authorities have all the right to restrict any sensitive issues just for the nation's peace.
Well, I didn't know it was that restrictive. So good night, everyone. I hope you two had an amazing time here. So see you all tomorrow at the same time at the same place.
So now, after the interview, the conducted interview, are going to talk about the authoritarian theory, which describes that the population, what the population see, read, hear from the media, it's controlled by the government. There is one-way communication, no feedback from the public, and they are not allowed to express their opinion or criticize the government. And here we have an example of Tickling Giant that shows how Bassem Youssef, the famous political satire TV presenter of El Barnamij, lost his TV show because simply he didn't follow the government restrictions and guidelines. So he was obligated to leave the country for good because he was simply criticizing the government in a sarcastic way.
So my example is a little bit broad. It's about North Korean, which is a dictatorship. North Korean government severely restricts freedom of expression, assembly, association, and religion. It prohibits all organized political opposition, independent media, independent voices and organizations, and trade unions. So the government routinely uses arrests and punishment, torture, forced labor, and execution to maintain fear and control. And in recent years, the government has tightened domestic restrictions on travel and punished the North Korean making contact with the outside world.
Okay, now I'm gonna speak about the libertarian theory. The libertarian theory originally came from the libertarian thoughts from the 16th century in Europe, and the libertarian theory is about is free from any authority or any control or censorship, and the government should not play any restrictive role, and the public has the right to judge and criticize the country regime. And one of the examples of the libertarian theory is The Daily Show. The Daily Show is an American satirical TV show which draws its comedy or satire from news stories or political figures. And I think The Daily Show is a great example of the libertarian theory, as it heavily depends on the liberty of expressing personal opinions regarding the country's political situation. And freedom of speech. Unlike Bassem Youssef show, which is البرنامج, which is quite similar to the Daily Show, the Daily Show has never been at risk of suspension. So this show how the US follows the libertarian theory, unlike Egypt.
As for the second example, it's a book that was written by Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams witnessed the U.S. elections, the U.S. Presidential elections of 2020, and she saw that there was something wrong about it. She wanted to voice her concerns, so she wrote this book entitled Our Time Is Now, and she voiced her concerns and even heavily criticized the government, mentioning how the political institutions are corrupt. This is a great example because it shows how she didn't have to limit her concerns.
So to conclude, we can say that the authoritarian theory is characteristic by the government full control for media, and the libertarian theory is characteristic by the freedom of speech. Thank you for listening, and if you have any question, you can email us. Thank you.
Thank you all.